Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into this absolutely wild story from 15th century East Asia. It's about how a huge, grand imperial plan just completely backfired. We're talking multinational pirates, the arrival of guns in Japan, and yeah, how all of this accidentally kicked off a new global era.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with Ming China's big vision for how the world should work. Then we'll pop over to Japan and see how they felt about it. After that, we'll expose the one fatal flaw in the whole plan, meet the infamous pirates this mess created, see what happens when Europeans finally show up to the party, and wrap it all up by connecting the dots to globalization itself. So let's set the scene. It's the 15th century, and Ming China totally sees itself as the center of the universe. And they had a very specific system to make sure everyone else saw it that way too, built on two key policies. First up was the tribute system, or choko. The idea was pretty straightforward. You, as a foreign nation, come and bow to the emperor, show your respect. In return, you get his official blessing and a ton of super valuable gifts. See, it was way less about economics and all about projecting the emperor's immense power. And to make sure everybody followed the rules, they brought in the maritime ban, or kaikin. This basically made the tribute system the only game in town. You want amazing Chinese goods? Well, you've got to play by the emperor's rules. No exceptions. Now, let's head across the sea to Japan, because this whole system created a huge headache for them. For the ruling Ashikaga shoguns, the question of whether to bow to China was, well, it was complicated. And you can really see just how torn they were. I mean, look at this timeline. It's like policy whiplash. You have Shogun Yoshimitsu, who was all for it, but then his son, Yoshimochi, thought it was a national embarrassment and slammed the door shut. And then his successor, Yoshinori, who, get this, was chosen by lottery and was desperate for cash, he just flips the switch and restarts the whole thing. This constant back and forth made the relationship really, really unstable. But underneath all that imperial grandeur, all that power and prestige, China's tribute system was hiding a massive, fatal flaw. And here it is, the heart of the problem. This system was never designed to make money. It was designed to make a political statement. So for every piece of tribute China got, the Ming court would give back these incredibly lavish gifts, gorgeous silks, amazing ceramics that were worth way, way more. They were literally bleeding their own treasury dry just to look good. So what happens when you can't afford your own foreign policy? You cut back. China started pushing people away. They told trade missions that used to come every year, hey, why don't you come back in 10 years? This was a disaster for merchants whose entire livelihood depended on that regular trade. With the official front door to trade basically slammed shut, merchants from both Japan and China did what any enterprising person would do. They built their own backdoor. And in doing so, they created a legendary and seriously misunderstood group of pirates. You've probably heard of the Wako, right? These fearsome Japanese pirates who supposedly terrorized the coasts of China and Korea. But is that what was really going on? Nope, not even close. This is the big twist. The vast majority of these so-called Japanese pirates were actually Chinese merchants who were breaking their own government's laws. The actual Japanese ronin and fighters, they were just a small, though, yeah, pretty scary, part of this huge multinational smuggling ring. And the story gets even weirder. So the Chinese smugglers thought the Japanese samurai style, the shaped heads, the swords, looked so tough and intimidating that they started dressing up like them. So this terrifying image of a Japanese pirate that scared everyone, a lot of the time it was just a costume worn by a Chinese merchant who wanted to look tough. Okay, so into this already chaotic mix of smuggling and trade bans, a brand new player sails onto the scene, the Portuguese. And let me tell you, they were not interested in bowing to anybody. So when the Portuguese first arrived in China, they got the same offer as everyone else: pay tribute, bow to the emperor, or get lost. Their response was basically, yeah, no, we're not doing that. But they still desperately wanted Chinese silk and porcelain. So what was their next move? You guessed it, they went straight to the black market. They saw this incredibly well-organized illegal smuggling network run by the Wako and thought, now this is a business opportunity. And just like that, for the very first time, the underground economy of East Asia was plugged directly into a global European network.
And this chain of events leads us to one of the most important moments in all of Japanese history. You see, the arrival of guns in Japan wasn't some fluke. It wasn't an accident. It was the direct, logical result of everything we've talked about. The smugglers, these middlemen, knew exactly where the best market for a powerful new weapon would be, a country tearing itself apart in a massive civil war.
So, after all that, failed policies, fake pirates, and firearms, what's the big takeaway? What does this centuries-old story really tell us?
It shows that history is so often a story of unintended consequences. China's rigid, top-down attempt to control everything completely backfired. In trying to build walls, they accidentally created the very thing they wanted to prevent: a dynamic, messy, multicultural, and totally uncontrollable global network. You know, this whole episode is just such a powerful reminder that even the most carefully designed plans can have the most unexpected results imaginable. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What dominoes are today's policies setting up for the future? Thanks so much for joining this explainer.